I just made a cooking game in 1 hour as part of a Game Dev TV battle video. If you've never watched one of those before, we have 3 participants all using different game engines, and we all make some game with some topic. In our case, it's a cooking game. And we're given 1 hour to do it live on screen while Rick pesters us to make us do worse. I think that's his role. So with a cooking game topic, I said, we have to make a pizza cooking game. My wife would never forgive me if the very first cooking game I make is not about pizza. When doing some severely time-limited game like 1 hour, it's really important to keep the scope as small as possible. So what I do is take whatever topic I think, I can probably do this. I take that and throw half of it away, say there's no way I'm gonna get to that. Okay, now I've got this game that seems like maybe it's gonna be okay, maybe doable in an hour, and I cut it in half again and say, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So my initial thought was, wouldn't it be cool to have a pizza making game where maybe people come up and place an order, you're the cook in the back, so you make their pizza, you choose from the different toppings, you assemble it the way they wanted it. Maybe you choose a different dough, hand tossed, thin crust, deep dish, whatever. Then you stick it in the oven. Each pizza based on the toppings and the crust and all this stuff would go into the oven for a different amount of time, and you'd sit there and watch it cook. We'd be on fast forward, it'd take 4 seconds or something. And you take it out whenever it's done, and you get points based on, did you do the right toppings and did you cook it for the right amount of time or whatever. Then you stick it in a box and hand it to the customer and you're done. That seems like it'd be a fun game for me, but the whole ordering system, there's just no way I'm gonna get that done with all the other stuff in an hour. So throughout the whole ordering system, said, nope, forget about it. Instead, what if we just do, okay, you're gonna choose some toppings, choose some pizza crust, cook it, 4 seconds or whatever, take it out, put it in the box. Cool, but my rule is cut it in half again. So all the different pizza crusts, the concept of maybe they cook for different times. So I was left with, for this battle, 1 hour of challenge, we're going to take some toppings, put them on pizza, put the pizza in the oven, take the pizza out, put it in a box. And ideally we'll have some kind of points. Maybe if you burn it, you lose points. Maybe if you cook it right, you get some points, like 1 point per pizza or something like that. So that's why I was going into the battle, this is what I'm gonna do. Let me know in the comments if you think that you could do something like that in 1 hour, or that's way too much, you'd even need to scope it down more. So great, I've got my idea. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I've scoped it down aggressively. Now I'm let me go find some assets, which in hindsight probably made more sense to find free assets I could use and then come up with a game, but I already pigeonholed myself into this thing. I was all in on the pizza thing. So I started looking around and found that Kay Loosberg, the guy who makes K-Kit assets, had a really great kitchen cooking set. There were just a couple of pieces I needed extra, and he gave me the buy up extra pack for free for use in this battle. So huge shout out to him, great guy. So I've got the assets and I start talking to the other participants. Hey, what type of starting point are you guys going with? And we basically all agreed we're gonna come in with really simple, maybe player movement or something like that, and an environment, everything else we're gonna do in the battle. So I spent some time putting together the scene so it looks nice, because we are making a YouTube video after all with this battle, right? We're trying to make it fun, engaging to watch. Nobody wants to look at a really ugly game. Then the day of the battle, I spend the first few minutes putting together pizza toppings and the pizza base. And those are really the only interactable components that weren't already in the scene, since I already had the pizza box and the oven. Then I spent a few minutes getting the Cinemachine cameras set up. I thought it'd be really cool and a nice visual experience if we zoom in and have some kind of depth of field effect as we're looking at each station to keep the player focused on whatever they're going to be doing. With Cinemachine, this is extremely easy. We just position the cameras in different locations, and then we basically flip which Cinemachine camera is active, and the Cinemachine brain says, okay, I need to move from here to here, and it's got a nice way to transition between those. This was all done in the first maybe 10 minutes of the battle, including the time explaining what's going on. From there, I spent the next 50 minutes almost exclusively writing code, trying to get this whole thing done. In my mind, I was thinking, hey, we've only got 1 hour to get this thing done, so the code's gonna be ugly, but it's gonna be fast and it's gonna at least be demoable. So I created a couple scripts for identifiers, basically, with really small pieces of behavior for the pizza, for the pizza toppings. The oven, I expected to be a little bit more interactive because we needed to cook it and I wanted to give points, so that one had a little bit extra stuff going on. The entire rest of the game is done in one script in the player class, where I've got this gigantic update loop where even in update, I'm starting coroutines without checking anything. So you can imagine this is really bad code. Don't repeat this code. Basically, we're just going between the different stations. If we press A or D, and based on what we click, if we're clicking the pizza toppings, the pizza, blah, 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 then we will do some scripted sequence of events. For a scripted sequence of events like opening the oven, putting the pizza in, and then closing the oven, that's a really great use case for using a coroutine because we need to do some stuff, we need to wait for a little bit of time, we need to do something else, we need to wait some more, and we need to do something else. It's a really ideal use case for a coroutine, in my opinion. Using a coroutine for that makes it so our update loop is much simpler. You can see on mine, even though it's pretty crazy, we're just checking what did the player do? Not am I doing this? Is that thing happening? Is this other thing happening? All that's handled in these coroutines of scripted sequences. In station number 1, we just do a raycast where the player's clicking to choose which topping we're going to pick up, and we instantiate one of those in the player's hand. If we press A, we move left to station 2. I play an animation to have the player kind of hover his hand out. The process of putting down the toppings is just a raycast, and then we instantiate the topping above the pizza by some amount. They fall with a rigid body and a collider. Once they make impact with that pizza sauce, the rigid body and the collider are both disabled, and that food topping is parented under the pizza. So when we go to the next station to put it into the oven, then we do that scripted sequence of the oven opening that we just saw. And then we want the player to click on the oven again to take it out. So they'll open the thing, grab the pizza, close it again, and then we take them to the final station to put into the box. I really wanted to put something in with the pizza cooking. I even had planned to make like a custom shader for the toppings and stuff so it'd get more golden as the pizza cooked more, and then show like a timer on the oven of like how long it's been in there so you know when to take it out. But unfortunately, at some point in here, Rick said,
8 minutes left.
And I just finished the oven interaction. So instead of spending the 5 minutes maybe getting the shader put together and making all that work, let's just make the player move to the end and be able to put the pizza in the box. Then at least we have the full back and forth. It was a load of fun to participate in this Game Dev TV battle. I'd never thought about even making a cooking game before, so it was a really interesting way to stretch myself and try something new. I have published this full project code on GitHub, minus the paid asset component of K's assets. So if you do want to take a look at exactly how something works, you can check out the full project. You'll just have some missing models when you download it and run it on your own computer. If you've never participated in something like a game jam that's really time limited or just time limited yourself on a project, I highly recommend you try that out. You might find that you have a lot of fun and learn more than you expect, even if the code that you write isn't very good. And if your game ends up feeling good at the end, you can, of course, revisit those parts that you just threw together really fast to try to make it work. A huge shout out to all the YouTube members and Patreon supporters supporting this channel, and a huge shout out to all the awesome supporters like Ivan, Iphiopoulos, Jason Hansen, Snedden, Mustafa, Alper, Nick5454, and Pixel Wizards. There's also all of these great supporters as well. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you on the next video.